YouTube Muscly folks, what it is. Got a little bit of a rant today. Okay, so as a sort of known natural who lean bulks all the time, who once a couple of times has shredded down from fat to no longer fat, most of my clients are either trying to lean out or are skinny folks trying to get swole. These kind of scenarios are kind of two common clients I get as a personal trainer. So one thing that comes up over and over again that I feel like is almost deserving a rant at this point, because the fitness industry is throwing some confusing information out there, is when it comes to individuals who have a hard time putting on and keeping body weight. Now, my own experimentation with caloric deficits has taught me that caloric deficits are very dangerous. They give you a lot of bad consequences, mental health-wise, physically, injury ability. Your ability to get injured is much higher. So, thinking about it that way, with it being easier to get injured and depressed when you're on low food, somebody who is constantly on low food, whose body's adapted to low food, is in a seriously bad health state. Now, to that point, most health advice out there is actually weight loss advice parading as health advice, which for some people is actually dangerous to follow, particularly people who are of low body weight. Now, what I'm saying by this is that generic advice where you should be eating only clean food, no refined sugars, only brown rice and grilled chicken and veggies, mainly like lean meats and veggies, blah, blah, blah. If you're super overweight and you don't want to track your food, that is a way to go ahead and stop yourself from getting a triple milkshake and a quadruple burger and then a huge 96-ounce syrupy Coke and then going and sit on the couch watching football. That's not productive behavior by any stretch of the imagination. But when you're looking at somebody whose body weight is perpetually below healthy norms and they struggle with appetite, you telling them to go and eat low-volume food and to get heaps and pounds of veggies relative to everything else and all this is really setting them up, honestly, for a short lifespan. I mean, it's deadly advice on a certain level, in my opinion, to tell someone who is underweight to avoid foods that they have maybe a high appetite for when their caloric intake is constantly below baseline. So, to that point, I really feel like there needs to be, sugar. I look at sugar as a jackhammer. So, I mean, if you're a construction worker and you got to bust up some concrete, go ahead and use the jackhammer. But if you're a sedentary guy sitting on the couch watching some football, you don't need any sugar. You know what I mean? If that's your lifestyle, you don't need sugar. But if you're an athlete, if you go to the gym regularly, this kind of stuff, there are times when you need sugar. And if you're underweight, you probably need sugar badly, especially if you're trying to make gains at a lot of times of the day, because you're going to wind up running all your glycogen all the way out and then trying to do more activities with no glycogen, which is just setting yourself up for failure. I mean, somebody losing weight is going to have no choice but do that, and they have body fat they can use to convert to energy to create glycogen, so it's not as big of a deal if they undereat. But honestly, when somebody is underweight, I think it's much worse to tell them to undereat than it is, and to eat these perfect foods, than it is. It's like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic at that point, how perfect or not the food is when the person is not eating enough food, period. And if they have a poor appetite and you can get them to reach a caloric baseline by including some ice cream and stuff in their diet, then they need to be eating some freaking ice cream. It's for their health. It's like a lot of these zealots who are like really into natural and no processing techniques and whatever, but then they'll go ahead and freeze and set on fire their food also, which are processing techniques. They'll put salt all over it. They'll combine it with other things. They'll have, they got a Mr. Wizard worth of chemical reactions going on in the saucepan on the stove, but nobody counts that as processing because they're doing it themselves. I mean, the vast majority of processing techniques are actually to protect the consumer from diseases and other things that happen when you mass-produce foods. And mass-produced foods are necessary to sustain the populations that we have. Now, bear in mind, I'm not a nutritionist at all. I'm a personal trainer, so I have the proper study when it comes to. I mean, I do a lot of research on nutrition, and I stay lean. I track my food every day for 4 years. I talk and think about it all the time, and it's definitely in the scope of my industry to a certain extent. It's just, somebody who's, got a disease or whatever. I don't know anything about vitamin, how that affects somebody who's, got this or that disease. So, there's limited information. All I really know is about body composition. But as it pertains to that, if you're underweight, you don't need to be finicky about what you're eating at all. You need to get calories down. Get a mass gainer shake if you have to. You know what I mean? Get in the gym, get swole, put some muscle mass on so that you do not waste away, so you can eat enough food each day so that you're not depressed, you're not injured all the time. And a lot of people who have chronic depression and who undereat, those two things are probably linked. Like, comment, and subscribe. I sure do appreciate all your time. Peace.